first things I guess we need to do is define what we mean by a small, mid-sized business. So Dick has already mentioned Gartner, so I'll go back to Gartner and use their definition. And so I'll just read it here. You can read, I know, but it says a small and mid-sized business is a business which, due to its size, has different IT requirements and often faces different IT challenges than do large enterprises, and whose IT resources, which are usually budget and staff, are often highly constrained. Well, reading that, I'm thinking what organizations, IT departments are not highly constrained today by budget or staff. But so I think some of these ideas can certainly pertain not only to small, mid-sized businesses, but also to maybe enterprises as well. Gartner goes on to say, put two values onto what they define as a mid-sized business. So anything that's below 1,000 employees, or if you want to use the money aspect, less than $1 billion in annual revenue. But again, even if you're more than 1,000 employees or more than $1 billion, I think some of these things can still be applicable to you. So that's the definition of SMB. All right, so first thing is on our agenda was the goals. Well, ITIL goals are kind of ITIL goals. A lot of those, or you can call these objectives maybe, these are probably true even for non-SMB enterprises or for enterprises. And one is you want to provide the IT services that your customers require, okay, in order to conduct the business. That is the primary goal of IT service management. And ITIL, of course, is a framework around IT service management. You also want to consistently meet or beat your customer expectations. And as Dick Stark has taught us internally here at RightStar, that meeting those expectations is good. Beating them, you don't have to beat them up by a lot. Maybe you just beat those expectations by a little bit. But the key is consistency. So you need to consistently meet or beat your customer expectations. And your customers, of course, are often your internal users of the IT services. And then ITIL has this concept of service and value. And service is the method by which we deliver value. And then value is defined by ITIL in two pieces: utility, in other words, how useful is the service, and warranty. You know, how does it stand up? We think of a warranty like a warranty to an appliance or something, but this is really warranty in how not only how useful it is, but is it applicable? So these are standard ITIL goals. There's a couple more goals, and these probably apply a little bit more to small, mid-sized businesses. Provide the right services, of course, but at the right cost. And so we should always be aware and cognizant of the value that we're providing. And that value, I mean, we could provide everything and much better than our customers could ever imagine if we had unlimited budget, right? So we have to put cost into the equation. And then, of course, back to what I mentioned a minute ago, is consistency is how you meet or beat those customer expectations. You do that with consistency. So how do you consistently deliver on your promises? Well, you do that with processes. So ITIL is built around processes. And then I always like to add my own little goal, and that's keep it simple, silly. And so if we simplify, then we're able to better implement and better maintain those processes. So let's talk a little bit about the processes. This is version 3 of ITIL. And if you look at this list, you see, oh my goodness, there's a lot of processes here. There's 26 listed here. Now, we're not going to go through all of these, but the idea is that this is probably more than a small or mid-sized business can chew off, certainly to start with. Now, a lot of you out there have been doing IT or SM, maybe in the form of ITIL for maybe many years, and you're listening in and saying, well, how can I simplify things to do what I do better? Well, one of the things is figure out which of these processes are most important to you and focus on those. And then as you get those consistent, in other words, they're functioning rather well, then maybe you can look at additional processes. And I would tell you, I know of no even enterprise account out there that has all 26 of these up and running. So we're going to take a look at just a few of these for the SMB. And so these are the ones that I would say are required processes for the SMB. And so we want to simplify by just using the processes you need. And where do we start? Well, most everybody starts with incident management and request fulfillment. Of course, a lot of people know request fulfillment by the name service request. I think most of you know that incident management is break fix. So your customers have issues with software, issues with hardware, can't get into their accounts maybe. Those are incidents. And so they put in an incident, or they call up your call center and record an incident. And then you, of course, fix the issue. So we sometimes refer to that as break fix. Service request, or request fulfillment as the true term is known in ITIL, is where somebody needs to request something that they don't already have. So it could be hardware, I need a new laptop. It could be software, I need something installed on my laptop, or I need access to a system I don't currently have. So that's service request. So those first two processes, and those are ITIL processes, incident management and request fulfillment, are generally handled by a function, and this is listed at the bottom. The function is called a service desk. And so the service desk is a function, not a process, but it handles the first two processes. Most all of you out there probably have a service desk that handles those two functions, or those two processes. The next process that most people implement, and I would say it's mandatory because I'm a true believer in it, is change management. And we'll get into, matter of fact, back in October I did how to simplify change management, and my next webinar will focus on that for footprints, but it'll be how to simplify change management for footprints. But we will talk a little bit today about some things that allow that process to function a little better in an SMB. The next one, the fourth one, is one you may not think about much. Matter of fact, a lot of smaller SMB shops don't even put this process in, but I think it's probably one. I put it here in my top 4 for a reason. And release management. So release management is often confused a little bit with change management, and that's because both of them have to do with some kind of implementing something new. With change management, really if we focus on when you're ready to move something into production, and if we look at release management about is the feature or the function that we're adding, is it it's more about the development process, I guess is the best way to put it. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but these are, I would say, some of the top 4. If we go to a graphic that shows where these things fit in, on the left side I have a big box, and there's that function, service desk, and it is a customer-facing function, and so we've got our incident and request fulfillment processes there. Request fulfillment is broken out into the 2 major types of service requests. You have standard service requests, which means these are things that we have on our service catalog. So they're things that we do all the time, and so we have them listed. Like here, choose something off the list. Like, oh, you want a laptop? Okay, choose that you want to request a laptop. And then there's non-standard service requests, and those are things like, well, we need a new report developed, or we need a new feature developed for an application. Well, those are non-standard requests. I have a line down the middle. Some of you maybe have seen this drawing before. I show it a lot. The line down the middle separates the customer-facing processes on the left from the non-customer-facing processes on the right. I call these internal IT processes. And over there we have, in addition to change management and release management that I mentioned on the previous screen, we also have problem management, which most of you that are ITIL trained know that problem management is a little different than incident management, although there's some similarities. And we also have something at the bottom known as project management. Now, project management isn't its own process in ITIL. You can make an argument that it's interspersed in a lot of other processes because we certainly do that in IT. But I put it here as a, we'll call it Brian's ITIL, maybe BriTIL process. And so we've got these processes on the right-hand side, again, are internal IT, and they are not necessarily customer-focused or facing processes. I also have a CMDB, a configuration management database, off to the side there, and that, of course, is part of configuration management, or as it's known in ITIL version 3, asset and configuration management, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So this is a diagram kind of showing how things fit together. Notice there's arrows, and that's because a lot of times you'll get a customer will put in an incident or a service request, and that will lead us to creating a change record, or what ITIL calls an RFC in change management, or creating a release, or maybe a feature in release management, and so forth. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how you can simplify some of these processes. So the first process we mentioned was incident management. As I mentioned, that's break fix. So a couple of things that you can do to help simplify this, and keep in mind there's two views of simplification. We're simplifying things for us in IT, or we simplify things for the customer. And sometimes those are at odds with each other, but in this case, self-service kind of helps both. So if you implement self-service, if you're not already using self-service in your service desk, this can certainly simplify things for the customer. Now the customer doesn't have to put in an email and wait for a response, or call and hope to get somebody, or wait on hold. They can simply go online and put in a ticket, and get an instant gratification, so to speak, that they've got a ticket in the system and that it'll be worked on. Along with self-service, and by the way, it helps the IT, because now rather than fielding a lot of phone calls or emails about what's the status, your customers can just simply go online and see what's been any updates that have been made to their request. The next one is knowledge base articles, and this feeds right in with self-service. You can use knowledge base articles for the IT staff, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel on every single thing that you do. So if you've got a solution article on how to fix an incident, then anybody now can go out and find that solution, and then just follow the steps and solve it without having to, as I mentioned, recreate the wheel. Same thing if you make knowledge-based solutions accessible to your customers, to the end users. Now they can solve their own problems. So this greatly simplifies your service desk and incident management by allowing people to see what other people have already created and already done to solve issues, and maybe they're just procedures. Like, here's the procedures if you want to get something done. So whether it's solutions or procedures, you can make those accessible to both your customers, or you can have internal ones for IT in a knowledge base. A fourth way you can simplify incident management is, if you're not doing it already, is to, in a lot of the tools, certainly Footprints and others have this feature, but it's not something known as global. So you can create global incidents. So a global allows, let's say there's a system outage and you have 42 people that put in a ticket for that. Rather than me being assigned to this system outage, maybe I'm the network engineer and I have to go out and now close 42 issues, we combine all those issues as global links under a global incident or a global ticket.